The morning of July 18, 1993, customers began lining up outside Banco Español de Crédito branches across Spain. They had heard rumors. They told themselves the rumors were wrong. By noon, the doors did not open. By evening, the Bank of Spain had seized control of the entire institution. 43 billion pesetas, roughly $290 million, had simply ceased to exist. And the man who had promised to protect it had been dead for 2 years. His name was Mario Conde. And before the end, before the seizure and the trials and the bodies of shattered lives, he had been the most admired banker in Spain. But this story does not begin with Mario Conde. It begins with a man named Juan Abello, a pharmaceutical heir, and a dinner in Madrid in 1987 where two men decided that one of the oldest banks in Spain was worth buying. Banesto, Banco Español de Crédito, was founded in 1902. By the late 1980s, it was limping, mismanaged, over-leveraged, bleeding slowly. It needed a savior. Mario Conde looked like one. He was 40 years old when he took the chairman's seat in December 1987, a lawyer by training, a deal-maker by instinct, and a narcissist by every observable measure. He wore his suits like armor. He spoke in complete authoritative sentences. The Spanish press adored him. They called him El Tiburón, the shark. They meant it as a compliment. He gave interviews about power, about destiny, about how Spain deserved a banking champion. For a brief, intoxicating moment, it appeared he was building one. Banesto's balance sheet grew, its profile rose. Conde cultivated politicians, journalists, industrialists. He lunched with King Juan Carlos's inner circle. He was not just a banker, he was a symbol. He was also hiding something enormous. The turn came quietly, as it always does. By 1990, Banesto's loan book was a graveyard. Hundreds of millions of pesetas had been extended to companies with no hope of repayment, companies that were, in several cases, secretly connected to Conde himself. The accounting was not merely aggressive, it was fictional. Conde's team had developed a method. Losses were reclassified, bad loans became performing assets, provisions that should have been declared were buried inside holding structures so convoluted that even the auditors, Pete Marwick, later KPMG, could not see through them or chose not to look. By 1992, the true capital deficit at Banesto was approaching 605 billion pesetas. That is approximately $4.5 billion. The Bank of Spain had suspicions. It had dispatched inspectors. Conde had stonewalled them with a confidence that in retrospect looks like either genius or madness. He genuinely believed he could trade his way out. He believed the losses were temporary. He believed, as fraudsters almost always do, that he was fundamentally different from every other man who had sat in a burning building insisting there was no fire. On December 28, 1993, the Feast of the Holy Innocents, which is Spain's equivalent of April Fool's Day, a date so darkly ironic it sounds invented, the Bank of Spain formally intervened. Conde was removed from the chairmanship. The government injected 285 billion pesetas to keep Banesto alive. Banco Santander eventually acquired it for a fraction of its stated value. The man who had called himself Spain's great banking champion was escorted from his own headquarters, carrying a single box. What came next was not a clean reckoning. It was years of fog. Conde hired the best lawyers in Spain. He gave press conferences. He wrote a book. He called himself a political victim, claimed that powerful enemies in the Spanish establishment had engineered his downfall because he had grown too influential. Some people believed him, for a while. But the investigators were building something patient and meticulous. Judge Javier Gómez de Liano, a magistrate known for pursuing cases other prosecutors found too complicated, began assembling the charges. What he found was not just accounting fraud, it was a systematic looting. Conde and associates had extracted approximately 25.2 billion pesetas, around $180 million, directly from Banesto for personal enrichment. They had used bank funds to purchase artwork, finance private ventures, and reward loyalists with loans that were never meant to be repaid. Among the victims were thousands of small depositors, pensioners in Seville, shopkeepers in Valencia, families in Galicia who had kept their savings in Banesto for decades because it was the safe choice, because it was the establishment, because men like Mario Conde did not steal from people like them. Except he had. One victim, a 71-year-old retired schoolteacher named Rosario Mendez, who had lost her entire retirement savings of approximately 6 million pesetas, told a Spanish newspaper, "I believed in Spain when I believed in that bank." The collapse spread further than anyone had predicted. Suppliers went unpaid. Small businesses that had borrowed from Banesto found their loans called in by Santander's new management. At least 3 suicides were later attributed in court testimony to the financial devastation caused by the collapse. Conde was arrested for the first time in June 1994. He arrived at the courthouse on Calle Genova in Madrid, wearing a charcoal grey suit and a look of theatrical indignation. He would not be convicted for years. The Spanish legal system moved slowly. He appealed everything. He filed countersuits. He appeared on television. He ran, briefly and surreally, for political office. In 2002, the Spanish Supreme Court convicted Mario Conde on charges of misappropriation and fraud. His sentence, 10 years. He served less than 5, granted provisional release in 2006, while additional charges were still pending. The secondary players fared differently. Several Banesto executives received lesser sentences. The auditors were never criminally charged. The politicians who had dined with Conde and praised his vision were never called to account. Juan Abello, his original partner in the Banesto acquisition, had sold his shares before the collapse and walked away with his wealth largely intact. Banesto itself survived, absorbed into Santander. Its name eventually retired from the high street in 2013. The branches became Santander branches. The old signs came down. The marble lobbies stayed. The depositors who lost money received partial compensation through the government intervention. Partial, not full, never full. Mario Conde, as of this recording, is alive. He lives in Madrid. He still gives interviews. He still maintains he was a victim of political persecution. He published another book in 2019. He does not appear to find any of this haunting, but here is what stays with you when you spend time inside this story. Banesto was not some obscure institution. It was a 100-year-old bank. It had survived the Spanish Civil War. It had survived Franco. It had survived the economic chaos of the 1970s. It took one man, 6 years, and a culture so dazzled by confidence that it mistook performance for substance, to hollow it out completely. The people who lost everything did not lose it because they were careless. They lost it because they believed that some institutions are simply too embedded, too ancient, too watched to ever be truly corrupted. That belief is the most expensive thing you can own.